Today's topic, we want to discuss the conditional statements in the pure SQL. So I hope you guys, you already have some basic understanding of conditional statements. Maybe I can give you an idea of what we are talking about. So we all have covered this concept: if else, if else, if. So those are conditional statements. And also we cover loop control statements. We have simple loop, we have while loop, and we have for loop. So these are two topics that we need to cover today: conditional statements and the loop control statements. So straight to the notes. As you can see, conditional statements in the PLSQL, as the name implies, in the PLSQL programming language, we have features like conditional statements and iterative statements. So in terms of iterative statements, we have those three: iterative statements or loop control statements, and the conditional statements also have if else, and if else if. So we have those statements, and we have a basic understanding on how those statements are used. And those programming constructs are similar to how we use them in other programming languages like Java or C++. So if you guys, Java or C++, the way we use those programming constructs is the same. So let's look at the syntax of conditional statements in the PLSQL. So we start with if, then else statement. So eventually, let's go back to the notepad when you talk about if. Okay, maybe this is in Java or in C, you can do this. You put a condition here, and you do something like you open a parentheses, you close the parentheses, and here within the parentheses, you put what you call body of if statement. So in the PLSQL, almost the same concept, but remember, in PLSQL, we don't have parentheses or brackets. We do not have. So we simply do if, and we put a condition. Then we replace this stuff here by then. If the condition is true, then you have got your body of if statement. Then in the end, you have and if. We don't have a closing brace like this one, but you have a keyword and if. So this is how we go about it. So let's look at, we have so many examples. Maybe let's look at the real example for this one. If you know C or Java, you will quickly see the difference. Now let's say we have a simple program that we write with declare, and we declare age as a number. We give even some value if you want, like a 24. And we go to execution section. Then we say if age, for example, greater than 20, then something simple like a DBMS output. DBMS output, put line. So this is DBMS output, like this one. DBMS output, put line. Your age is greater than 20. This is a simple if. And the way we close our if, we do and if with a semicolon like this one. So if you want, you can do some stuff like DBMS output, put line. I'm learning conditional statements. Then we put the end to end our program. So if you look at this few lines here, this statement here, it's a conditional statement. It will only execute if this condition is true. If you change the value of age and the condition it becomes false, you won't get this line executed. You will only get this line executed. So we can copy this and open our Oracle console. Yeah, we can open our Oracle console and we try to run this one and see. It works in the same way as conditional statement works in other programming languages, as we said. Let me adjust my screen. I want to make it big as this one. That's wonderful. And I need to connect. I'm connected. Good. So I can paste the program here. You guys, you see. Okay. We can't get output. Can anybody tell us? Yes, we needed to do this. Set server output on. So then we write our program again and we do this. Now you see your age is greater than 20, but remember line number 5 was a conditional statement. We are only getting this one executed because our condition is true. And this is another line number 7, which is not a conditional statement. No matter whatever the outcome of this check condition here, we are going to see the output from this line. So if you change our program a bit and say age is 20, for example, and we want to run the same program, age is 20, this is cross this one, age is 20, and you want to run the same program. So what we see, you can guess, only this line will not be executed because the condition here is not true. The condition is false. Therefore, all the conditional statements here will be skipped and go straight to the line number 7. So if you run this program, we are only going to see the output from here and nothing from here. This is a simple if. Then in C or whatever, you have if else. If else, that means if the condition is not true, then what happened? Also in the period, we have if else. So this is a statement for if. If you have to put else, you put else here and you put the statement what happens if condition is false. So what is going to happen? For example, I will say, hey, your age is greater than 20, but if that is not the case, my program will have the second option. That's where I need the else statement, dbms output put line, then say your age is not greater than 20, something like this one. So if you look at the difference between this example and the previous example, we have 2 ways here. We have one option if the condition is true. We have another option if the condition is false. And of course, we end if as we did in the previous example. So if you run our example, if you run this program again, we are going to get this line and this line. So this is how we use if else statement in the PLSQL. So let's look at what happened when you run this program, copy, and we paste it here. Let's see. Now you can see your age is not greater than 20, and you can see that statement, which is not a conditional. So no matter whatever happens to your condition, you are going to display this, to execute this statement number 9. All right, so this is the previous one was a simple if, but this is a if else, same, but we don't have those parentheses and the brackets. So what about if else if? That's this type of conditional making state. I mean, decision making statement. So when you have many conditions, let's say how we do it in C, you will say if this is a C, you put a condition and you do something here, you do something, you do else, then you do another if, you put another condition, again you do something, you can do another else if, you put another condition, then you do something again, and finally you come to else. When you come to else, you put something as well, and you end your if. This is in C. In the PLSQL, we don't do exactly the same, but the same logic applies. In the PLSQL, we do something like if we put a condition, then we say do something, right? Else, we don't write else then if. We don't write this one. We do else if as one word. Then we do condition and specify what happens if our condition is okay. Okay, we can continue if you have many conditions. Do something. And finally, when we finish all the conditions, we can do else. And again, we can say do something, whatever. We come to end if. All right, so in terms of logic is the same, but we do not separate else if as we have in C or Java. We simply have one word, which is else if. So let's look at example. So let's say we are going to calculate the amount to be paid for electricity consumption. So in declaration, maybe we have units you consumed. This is a number, maybe 2. That's the size of the number. We have also, yeah, that's the units. Then you have a total amount, something like that. Total amount to pay, maybe it's a number, something like a 7. Okay, then let's say begin. Okay. So what happens? We are going to use the rules depending on the number of units you have consumed. Let's say, for example, if unit you consumed is less than maybe 100, then total amount is gonna be the number of units you consumed times number of units you consumed times maybe you pay 100 per units. Else if the units you consumed is greater than 100 and greater than 100 and the units you consumed are less than 200, for example, oh sorry, there is no parentheses. If unit consumed are greater than 100, greater or equal, that's fine, greater or equal to 100, and unit consumed less or less than 200, then total amount is going to be the number of units you consumed times probably 150. So if you have another condition, maybe let's check if units you consumed are greater than 200. Yes. And but we don't need to check two conditions. We can keep checking this one. So if it is greater, less than 100, let's see, and the unit you consumed less than 300, then total amount equal to units times the 200, for example. You can continue until when you have else total amount be like the number of units you consumed times the 350, something like this one. Then you remember and if, something like this. So you assume that the units you consumed, if you given here, let's say it's 150. Now you can understand which formula are you going to use. It's not less than 100. It's greater than 100 and less than 200. We want to apply this formula. Yes, Joshua? Joshua? Okay, so if I thought someone was raising the question, but if not, we can continue. So if you want to check like a DBMS output put line total amount to be total amount to pay, for example, let's say we put the amount, total amount, we end our program. All right, so we can try this one and see, because we are checking many conditions to be able to determine the amount of electricity, amount of money you have to pay for electricity. So now let's see. I think it's clear. Enter the value for you.
Why do you put two and if?
We did put two and if. Oh, sorry, should be one and if. The last one should be normal end. It will not work actually. So let's can see it's complaining. The last one should be simply and, because we are ending our program. Okay. So so even for the condition here, we don't need to put so many stuff like because if it reaches one condition which is okay, it will stop there and do the calculations. But let's try again and see what happens. Okay, so what is the problem? Encoded the symbol 200 when expecting one of the following. Okay, model in mind. My God, line number 9, column 12. Let's check. Line number 9. Okay, these are the stuff. Oh my God, we should put, we are writing it in the C style, eh? Should not be like that one. You should put a column, then equal, column dot equal, column dot equal. Again, we put a column dot equal. So I think this is the way to go. And let's copy again. Let's copy again and see. Okay. All right. So what is, yes, else if u greater or equal to 100, encode the symbol 200 when expecting one of the following. Where is that? Line number 10, column 14. What is that? Okay, let's see. If u is less than 100, then the total amount is going to be this much. Else if u is greater or equal to 100, let's see. If it is greater than 100, then we do 150. When it is greater than 200, let's avoid this symbol. Then we do multiply 200. Otherwise, we do multiply 350. So can this algorithm work really? If the number of units consumed is greater than 150, maybe let's start with the big number, because this small one cannot give you the accurate value. If the number of units consumed is greater than 200, if it is greater than 300, let's say 300, then so we apply the unit price of 350, for example. Otherwise, if greater or equal. Otherwise, if the unit consumed is greater or equal to 200, we apply 150. Okay, where do we apply 150 here? No, we should apply like a 350. So if it is greater or equal to 200, we apply 200 per unit price. If it is greater than 150, we apply 150. Else, if it is not greater than any of those ones, we apply 100. So let's see what happens. Okay. So if the number of units consumed, oh my God, it cannot work because our number of units cannot go beyond the 2 digits. You should complain as well. So let's, numeric value, number precision is too large. So maybe we put 3 so that you can be able to use a big number like 100. Okay, now let's see. So the total amount to pay is 22500. So which formula is used now? Because you consumed the 150, so the formula is this one. All right. So if you put that is 150 times 150, you get this number. If we put like a number of units like a 300, for example, it's gonna use this one. Okay. You can specify, you can try it and see. Let's say 300. Okay, it will apply the first one. That's where we can use if else if, because we check so many conditions. Okay, you cannot copy if something is selected. Make sure you deselect everything first. Copy and paste here. You can see. So this 100,000, 125,000 is just a 300 times the 350. So depending on the condition. So if you put a small number of units like a 20, it's gonna take that number multiply 100. So you can try this one, put like a 30 units, for example. So it will come to else. So which is a 30 times 100, which gives you like a 3,000. So we can copy, we can copy, you can see, that is else, 100 times 30. So this is the use of nested if in the PLSQL. I think there is not much difference from the way you use nested if in a C or other programming languages. So if you no question, please let me go to the next course. These are the syntax, but what we did was even to explain more with some examples. All those are the syntax and nothing to worry about. So we can introduce iterative statements because we'll be using them also in the next topic, which will be the castles. So what we call iterative statements, and I think you know this from C, from Java, and from other programming languages. And iterative control statements are used when you want to repeat execution of one or more statements for a specified number of times. So we have the same in Java, in C, and C++. And in PLSQL, we have the three types, which is a simple loop, while loop, and the for loop. So if we all know the use of for loop, while loop, there is no exception here. So let's start with the first one, simple loop. A simple loop is used when a set of statements is to be executed at least once before the loop terminates. So we needed to make sure that whatever we put in the body of the loop will be executed a number of times. And since it is a simple loop, we exit a simple loop when we by using exit or exit when. We have the two options. We can simply write exit. That will exit without any condition, or we can have exit when, then we put a condition. Eventually, this is a complete syntax. Yes, this is a complete syntax for simple loop. And we can give you a quick example. Simple loop, let's do this. Let's have, this is our program, we declare, and we have I as a number, which can be up to 999. We have begin to go to execution section. We give initial value this I, let's say I is 10. And yes, the way we use a simple loop, you simply use a keyword loop. And when you use the loop, you need to have an end loop because we don't have a parenthesis. So what do you want to loop? What do you want to execute many more than once? So maybe I can say loop dbms output put line. Let's do this. The value of I is, I need simply to show the value of I. And I will make sure that after this, the new value for I will be I minus 2. So you can go this way, but this program is going to loop and loop and loop. You need to put to exit keyword. When do you want this program to exit from the loop? That is exiting from the loop. So we go with a keyword like exit, and if you want to put a condition, maybe exit when I equal to 0, for example. So once every time the value of I will be reduced by 2, when the value of I reaches 0, I want my program to exit this block of statement and continue to the next line, which will be end. Or I can put something else like a dbms output put line k exited the loop. You see? So the statements I have here will be repeated. Which one? I think I'm repeating this, anything inside the loop and the end loop. So this will be repeated the number of time, and the condition is to exit this loop only when the value of I is equal to 0. So let's try this and see what happens. Let's try this and see what happens.
Here on exit, when I equal to 0, you miss the
So you can see when
the
I equal to 10, I equal to 8, I equal to 6, I equal to 4, I equal to 2. All right. So when I equal to, you remember, when I was equal to 2, it did I, the new I equal to I minus 2, which means 0. Then by checking, oh, I is 0, automatically exit without just going back. So you can get a different scenario if you put exit when somewhere else. Because you can do loop and say exit when. Put exit when here and remove it here. So can you get the same output? Let's check. So yes, still the same. Since, of course, since I, after this, after printing this one, did I equal to I minus 2, that is after printing the last value of I, which was 2. Then going back, I was 0, could not print the value, exited from the loop. So the most important here, guys, to understand how we use a simple loop. We have got a loop and a loop, and you have got exit when. When do you want your program to exit from the loop? If I say exit when I equal to 15, for example, that means my program will run into infinity loop because there is no way the value of I will be equal to 15. So that means the program will loop forever. So I can't run this one because it will be infinity loop. So this is a simple loop. So what about the second one, which is a while loop? While loop. So when you talk about while loop, you need to understand two things. Number one, you have to initialize your value. Let's do this with example. Declare, and we can do the same example. I, it's a number which is a 3, and we can say begin. We can set initial value for I. Maybe I equal to something like a 10 as we did. Then we come here and say while there is no parentheses. While I is greater than 0, then we specify what you want to happen. Maybe dbms output, put line, value of I. Then if I say value of I, then we put I. Okay. Oh, while I, there is no then, sorry. While I is greater than 0, we loop. And if you have a loop, we must have end loop. That's a principle. So if you have a loop, you must have end loop. So if you want, you can have these other statements after the loop. So this is the use of while, but this program also will go into infinity loop because the I is greater than 0 and the I will remain always greater than 0. So check the code first. This is while loop. So while you put a condition, we don't have it, then we have a loop, and you put whatever you want it to be repeated, and in the end, you remember to put end loop. So as I'm saying, this one will be infinity loop because I is greater than 0 and will always be greater than 0 unless you do something like for every iteration, the value of I is going to be reduced by 1. So at least you are sure that at some point I will not be greater than 0, then the program will exit from this section, this loop. Okay, it's looping actually from, so if you want, you can do this like here. So it will be able to exit from this loop. So we can copy this and paste it and see the behavior of this code. So this is, you can see I 10, 9, 8, 7, 65, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we said that when you can repeat only this one as long as the value of I is greater than 0. You can repeat the statement from line number 6 to line number 10. So once the I reaches 0, it has to exit from the loop. So now, I think it is straightforward actually. Nothing is complicated. Make sure you can initialize your loop variable. You make sure you increment or decrement loop variable, and you make sure, yes, if you want, you can use exit. Yes, you can exit without finishing all the iterations, or you cannot, because it says it's optional. It's not oftenly used. But if you want to use exit when, if you want, yes, why not? We can come and say, even inside while exit when I equal to 5, for example. So what does it mean? When I equal to 5, it will not continue with some other iterations for the values below than the value to I less than 5. So let's quickly. Okay. So you can see. So guys, someone is making noise. Ooh. Please put off your mic. Mico myiza Irene. Irene, please. Oh my God. So let's continue. So I stopped sharing my screen. So are you able to see my screen again?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
You cannot see it.
No, it's just sharing. Let's see. So someone was disturbing us. Can you? Not yet. Bonner? 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 Hello?